Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from my dad's office in San Diego, California for a few more days. With me is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Webber.
You love saying it like that.
I do love saying it like that. Omar Zeenni will be back tomorrow. He's still on the coaching field, but that's okay because like I was saying earlier, we do have a jersey quota to fill. And it doesn't get any bigger than this. Literally, I mean, if you have been around the soccer scene in the Jersey, New York area, at some point through the media, through coaching, you have come across the one and only Glenn Crooks. You probably know him from Sirius XM FC, from NYCFC, for the Big Ten Network, for letting dogs bark right in his face.
I don't have a dog, so that wasn't me.
No.
They know it's me. They were saying hi.
See, you get a welcome from everybody, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, thank you, Michael and Saskia. It's fun to be on with you here. And she's a Jersey girl. We were going through that a little bit before we hopped on here. I don't care if she's been in LA for whatever many years.
Always Jersey girl.
Jersey girl. Jersey attitude out there. But I spoke to Bob Bradley not long ago, and it was interesting because we never really met, but it was, and everybody knows Bob.
Mm-hmm.
But the number of people that I know very well that know Bob, like a guy named Tom McCabe who played goalkeeper for him at Princeton and produced the Soccer Town USA documentary, things like that. It just runs the gamut. And we both said, yeah, we both knew of each other. Obviously, I knew of Bob,
Mm-hmm.
but he even admitted to say, yeah, I know who you are. But
and I grew up in Princeton, so
yeah, that's right.
I know who Bob is too. There's my dog. Now he's up singing.
Bob has a certain energy about him. It's unbelievable. The first time I ever met Bob Bradley, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. Because he's got that energy. And it was at an Academy showcase. At the time, I was the goalkeeping director for Real SoCal, and we were at Academy Showcase, and I was just walking with some people at Academy Showcase. The next thing I know, Bob Bradley's in the circle with us, and I didn't know what to say. I just kind of stood there, and I'm just like, "That's Bob Bradley." He's like staring right at me with those piercing blue eyes, and I just I did not know what to do. I just
Michael, did you know that when you go to the Rutgers soccer stadium, Saskia Webber's big. Her
3-story picture.
There's a big, huge picture over there. And Alexi Lawless is on one side and Saskia Webber on the other. It's nice.
Wow.
Yeah, looking down. Yeah, it was awesome when they called and asked permission to do. I was like, seriously, you're asking me permission? I'm honored. It's awesome. And I got a great picture with my nephew. Underneath it, like one of my nephews.
Oh yeah? Oh, nice.
Up. Yeah, it's an awesome picture. And then, and if I was smart, I'd know how to share it on here.
Yeah, I would save this for the end, except I might forget because I'm getting up there. But, this is a ball.
Oh my gosh!
Do you recognize that signature?
That's me.
And let's look at some of the other ones on here. Here's Joy Fawcett. Here's, Bryce Scurry, another keeper.
There you go.
And here's Tiffany Roberts, and we got Julie Foudy.
That's the team.
Foudy. This was, you guys train at the Rutgers bubble with Anson. Like before a camp. I don't remember when or what.
Before we went to Portugal.
No, there you go. So
and the reason I remember that, I'm going to tell you why. It's one of the worst memories of soccer in my life because we were training. It was in like March, whenever the Algarve Cup. It was before we were flying out to Portugal. We all flew in, and we had to get some training in before we got on the flight. So we went to the bubble, and we had to do fitness, and we were doing cones and 5 shuttles, and Anson would sometimes, he would walk shuttles off, like, so more of it was like a mental thing, like cones off, like they might not all be 5, 10, 15 yards,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And Charlie decides to let him know, well, this is a football field, so it's line.
Yeah, it's line.
Right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, it was like true cones, right? So then the whole Rutgers women's soccer team is sitting on the turf, like where you start from. Watch it. And so I cramped up and tensed up after like the first one, like legit after the first one. Like I was like, it was just the stress. Here's my team, like everything. Cause trust me, I could run them in my sleep. I trained them. I was fine. Like it wasn't that I wasn't fit. And it was the first time and the only time I've ever missed fitness. And it was the first time and only time he ever added on if you missed. And so it was like my worst nightmare. It was like, and another. And I was like, oh my God. It was a painful situation. It was serious.
He called that in his preseason. That's the Breakfast Club. If you didn't pass your fitness test, you joined the Breakfast Club.
If you didn't pass the Cooper or something, you'd have to get up every morning.
Well, I mimicked that.
Carolina. So.
No, but I remember mimicking that as a coach. I thought, it's a great idea. And what I found out is that if a player comes in and they're not fit and you make them run more, they get injured, and then you never have them for the start of the season. So it's actually a pretty stupid thing, if you ask me. In retrospect, and I love answering.
And the whole thing with that was it wasn't that I wasn't fit. It was like the stress of the situation. You're running on that horrible turf, and like I said, he had walked him off across the field, so not with the lines going downfield, like the true football line. So when he's doing that, he's just walking him off so we can like get him in, get our legs under us and stuff like that. And when Charlie pointed that out, I was like, that was brutal. I'll never forget that. That's why I know exactly the day you're talking.
That is funny. And Charlie, of course, is Charlie DeCilli.
Yes, was my coach at Rutgers.
Yes. Yep.
And then the Glenn Crooks era began.
Yep. Then Glenn Crooks, and now Michael O'Neill, who was my assistant for 14 years, and he's just it's like so it's really been it's an all Jersey man. Well, DeCilli's more. He's got that Philly thing, but he lives. What do you got there? There she is. Oh, and that's your nephew? Gosh. That's awesome.
So that's my nephew outside the stadium. That's me.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cute?
Well, Sauce, when I get back into LA in the next few days, I'm going to teach you how to share screen, teach you how to use all the audio equipment, teach you how to use literally everything. Y Scout. Glenn, I'm trying to get her on
tutorial. I love it.
Hey, here you go.
I just crashed their Instagram. I just did an Instagram thing for them for a whole day where like I sent in a video and then people asked me questions and stuff. Yeah, so I'm like I'm still in touch with them and all. I mean, it's I'm a Rutgers girl. What do you want?
I know, man.
Even though I coach UCLA now.
By the way, I think it's really funny. If anybody was tuning in right now, they'd be like, I think this is like the book of basketball for Rutgers soccer. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on right now. We might have to do that. We might just have to do like some sort of like anthology series about like the history of New Jersey goalkeeping and have all these different people on. Like, I mean, that could be literally like an entire ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. I mean,
and players. I mean, think about the players that came out.
Oh, I mean, the players. Shout out to Gio getting his first start this past week for Dortmund and getting that assist. Him and Holland seem to really be connecting well, which is pretty cool to see the future of Dortmund right there. Glenn, I know you guys were a little disappointed that he left the NYCFC family, but it seems to be working out for him all right. So.
When he was 15 years old, he's an academy player. I mean, this was classic. So during an international break, so we get to go to training once a week as members of the media, and I love it. Go to Red Bulls training too when I can, just because I watch it from a coaching standpoint. But Gio Reyna, it was during an international break, and Patrick Vieira invited some of the academy kids in for an intra-squad scrimmage, just to play. So it was 11-a-side, and we got to see it. It was great, because competition. Well, Gio Reyna's team, he's 15 years old. Gio Reyna's team won 2-1, and he scored both goals.
Nice.
Against a lot of first-teamers.
Wow.
So, but you could see it. I mean, there was a sophistication, and the only thing there was, a little, power, and, he's 15 years old, but now he's developed and matured physically. So, he is, everything you hear about him, you could see it early on. I've gone to some academy games and academy practices as well, and this is no accident.
Oh,
Glenn,
well, I mean,
Glenn,
it's not just his dad, everybody. His mom was a phenomenal soccer
I was
player.
literally going to say, I was literally going to say
Danielle
that.
was amazing.
I was going to literally say that. Glenn, is he more Danielle or more Claudio in his game?
He's built more like his mom, and but he's got the game sense of his dad as well. So maybe that's a good mix, actually. Yep, good traits of both.
Yeah,
it's a good balance. Well, before we step right into this NWSL preview, I honestly just think you should let our audience know about the Coaching Academy, because I think it's something that our audience would really, really dig. So can you tell them a little bit more of what you do for Sirius?
Yeah, I have a weekly show called the Coaching Academy, which is a focus on coaching education and player development. And so it just runs the gamut of the guests that I can get on, and I take it in all different aspects. Recently, following the George Floyd murder, the subsequent protests, I had a black coaching friend of mine, John Morgan, who's an assistant at the University of Tennessee, and a black player who represents AS Roma and Boston College, Allison Swaby, Connecticut girl. To me, that's educational too. So anything that lends itself to education, but mostly coaching education. And you'll like this, Saskia. My guests this week, two of them, are a father-son duo who wrote a book called Gold Dust, and it's Keith and David Mayer. Keith Mayer worked Bob Riasso's camps at Rutgers University in the 1980s. And it was Riasso who contacted me about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, you got to interview this guy and his son. They've got this great book. So I got the book, and it's good. Where is it? I've got it. Here it is. So just to give a little plug, Gold Dust, How to Become a More Effective Coach Quickly by David and Keith Mayer.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's what it's about. So, you have to subscribe to Sirius in order to hear the show. Unless you know somebody that has it, and then you just, kind of go get their thing. But there's more to it than that.
That was the most Jersey thing I've ever heard you say.
East
right
Street,
there.
East Street Radio.
Find a way. You'll find a way to get it.
East Street Radio.
Find a way.
Springsteen channel, Saskia. Springsteen, baby.
All right.
And then, so there's music, there's news, and then of course there's a soccer channel, and the soccer channel's 24/7 games and local programming. Anyway, but thank you for letting me plug it. I've learned a lot from it. I'm a better coach 4 years later since I've started the show, talking to all these people about the game. It's really been cool.
I mean, we discuss it on this show every time, just, how much our knowledge has grown. And ever since the lockdown started, we ramped it up. We were going once a week for a while, and now we're going 3 times a week, mainly because we needed something to do with our lives.
You guys are energetic.
Yeah, because we have a lot of people reaching out, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I know very little about goalkeeping, and I'm 5'4", so I think I'm an interesting guest here, I mean, I've never been between the pipes except indoor, playing with one of those soft soccer balls that you could play with in a gym back when you were in school. Made some good saves then, but that's all. That's the only time I remember being in the goal.
No, but a lot about soccer in general, and honestly, the way the game is going, we've been discussing this week when we had Joe Lowry on from The Athletic. I mean, the understanding of the game and understanding the systems of play is so much more vital for goalkeepers nowadays to really recognize how to actually play the game than in the past, when they could be kind of this autonomous, creature out there that really had to be in sync with the team and was just basically called upon for shot stopping opportunities.
Yeah.
And I mean, now, Sask brought up a really good point a few weeks back when we had a guy on from Brazil, Fred Bergalia, and we were discussing the fact that she says that, she loves her goalkeepers being involved in rondos, because what it does is it actually develops that trust between the field players and the goalkeeper, that they actually feel comfortable playing the ball back to them because they've seen them be able to escape. They've seen them be able to manipulate the ball. They've seen them be able to find, the right, line for passing and all of that. And when you just do that, when it's just, goalkeepers are training in isolation, like Franz Hoek spoke about, and they're not incorporated with the team, you're just never going to develop that trust level. And I think that's one of the really exciting things about this Challenge Cup, segueing into that, is that there are so many teams now that are incorporating their goalkeeper, and we're going to be talking about it, how distribution is really becoming what's separating, the top keepers, in this league. I mean, they're all great shot stoppers. They're all great athletes. I mean, look, head to toe, or top to bottom of I mean, even a team like Orlando, which a lot of people said, hey, the fact that unfortunately they aren't able to participate, it was going to be a struggle for them. Still phenomenal, goalkeeper ranks, and the depth is just unreal in this league. And I don't think a lot of people understand that when they see the Leons out there, and they see, all the clubs in Europe, the Barcelonas, that our league is so stacked. The parity is so strong that any team could win any given day.
Yeah, I concur about the having the goalkeepers as field players. On the club level, it's almost you have to. You're alone as a coach. There's separate keeper training during the course of the week. So a lot of times it's right before you train. So they're going to be involved as field players up until the time you go to goal. That's the way you're going to handle it. But for me, we talk about a group of backs being, they play with with a looseness and with a confidence when they're very confident about the player behind them, the goalkeeper, and that's kind of in tune with, can they stop the shot? Are they gonna, but it's also about turning around and being able to just belt the ball down on the deck back to them and know that they're going to be able to swing it from right to left or whatever is necessary. It's an important, Saskia was a little ahead of her time. When I would go to games, man, she would get up near midfield. I don't, a lot of people were yelling at her.
She was the Manuel Neuer of her time.
She was.
I don't remember some things.
No, you didn't get the midfield, but you got between. You were between the circles. You were between the top of the D and the center circle. Yeah.
Why not? Why give them space to come at you?
Exactly. But it's really.
But I like being involved, and having that confidence. Yes, you're absolutely right. You should be able to ping the ball back to your keeper, know that person's going to be able to switch it and hit it on a dime and utilize that, instead of like back in the day when you were like, oh God, if you're as a field coach, you're like, if you pass the ball back to the keeper, you're like, rush the keeper.
Oh yeah.
Just go pressure the keeper. They'll make a mistake. Think about that. That's how people used to think.
Well, speaking of making mistakes, let's talk about this in regards to the tournament. As we all know, Orlando is no longer able to participate, unfortunately, and maybe we'll every show under the sun, including Glenn's show, has touched on this. So I don't know. I don't want to keep too long on it, but one of the things. Go ahead,
Michael. You know why it's important to discuss? Because young people need to hear this story. They got to hear the story.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot more than I can say, but one thing I will say is that it was young players on Orlando City who screwed up. And, because they're, they look, I've had children and they're the greatest kids of all time. But when they're 17, 18, 19, and 20, this, Saskia, it's, you tend to do, we kind of cutely said at Rutgers, if somebody came in at freshmen, we always said to the freshmen are stupid, because they haven't been around enough to understand what it takes and the culture and things. So in Orlando, look, you have to look at, there's two things here to me. You have to look at the culture of the program. I don't know the coach Skinner, don't know him at all. But what's the culture like where people would actually take themselves into a situation that's not favorable? You don't have to think too long about it to know that I don't care if the restaurants are open or not. You just don't do it. But it's also a younger group of players who are, feeling a bit invincible and aren't thinking about it, and so that I'm sorry to interrupt, Michael, but I think
I think you're right. You're right. And why don't we touch on what Ashlyn did, obviously as team captain and a leader out there, is she pointed something out that was, I thought, really great, because another thing with young people in social media is that their whole goal of social media is tear people down and find out who was involved and why they were, and be able to point fingers. And Ashlyn, to her credit, shout out to her, a GK Union member, obviously, was like, hey, let's stop talking about who was the culprit or who was at fault or whatever, and let's try to focus on the learning of this, and what people are going to know from now on, and just the awareness that it's brought to this whole thing, because it's devastating. It's devastating for not only the other players on the team and for the staff, and someone like Ashlyn, who, to be honest with you, she's getting up in years, and I don't know how many more tournaments she might necessarily have in her body. We just don't know. And it's really, really, really disappointing. Especially with the rough season that Orlando had last year, for them to not get this opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, look, mistakes being made, yes, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know. This could happen in other ways to another team. It's happened to the Dallas Cowboys. It's happened in Major League Baseball. It's happened across the board. It's happened to,
all these college football teams, right?
It's happened to Auburn. It's happening. And yes, there's some blatant mistakes you can make and stupid choices you can make. And then there's some, you could think you could be totally hunkered down and one little thing. And so that being said, did we come back too early? Is it come back too early? Like, it's a wait and see, you have Djokovic, who just did a stupid thing, going out dancing and all of that stuff and hosting an event. And now for tennis players have one of the sports where you're actually separate, for the tennis players that did a tournament have it. So, and he's apologized. So yeah, I think there's stupid mistakes, but I also think that this is still evolving, and it's a nightmare. And, even for me, being stuck here for the past 100 and something days, I go from here to the grocery store, who knows, one slip.
Stuck in Beverly Hills. This is a very, I'm nearly in tears here. Stop with the.
I wasn't trying to make, come on, I can have cabin fever too.
Yes.
Although it's like,
can I
nice cabin.
I want to read a quote. I want to make one last young person comment, okay?
Sure.
So Kansas State, you talked about college football, Saskia. Kansas State University, 14 players tested positive for COVID. So the athletic director there, his name's Gene Taylor, said that the reason they had a spike is that a number of athletes came in and didn't complete their quarantine after they got tested. And then they went out with a group of players that had done the right thing. And now they have, but his quote says it all. It wasn't that they did anything on purpose. They just weren't taking it seriously.
And that's the problem right now.
18,
that's
19
a problem,
years
period.
Yep.
That's a problem, period. It's a problem with non-athletes and everybody. People are not taking
Exactly.
stuff seriously. That comes from the top bottom because our idiot president isn't taking it seriously. And
we're going there?
Oh, we're going there. I'm like, come at me, anybody. I mean, you're not wearing a mask and you're getting, not that many people at a rally and tell them not to wear masks. Give me a break. Like, so why should these, young knuckleheads take anything seriously? You think people are smarter than that. Apparently that, you gotta find out the hard way. And yeah, you go into school, you're supposed to be in a quarantine, then you get tested, you come in, you go to quarantine, then you get tested, then you go back into quarantine, and then you're allowed around, and then you're not allowed to go anywhere. Like, that's the MO for universities right now. Then you're not allowed to, you have to stay in a certain zone with certain people that have been tested and stuff. So, it's use common sense, people, please.
And from what I know that the NWSL, they're flying charter, Michael. I know that, but I'm also pretty certain they're staying in hotels where there are they aren't closed hotels, meaning they're the only people going to be the only people in the hotel. That's what I understand. I don't,
And that's I'm sorry, that's an accident waiting to happen. And I know that everybody's trying, but here, let's put New York into context. I used to live in Manhattan and everything. I lived in 99 John, which is like a 50-something story building. I could have hunkered down in that building, but had I wanted to go, if I needed to go to the store, I would have had to get in the elevator. I would have had to push a button. I would have had to go outside. I would have had to go to the store downstairs. I would have come back in the elevator, go upstairs. there's all that. You're in a building that has central air that's moving through. I'm pretty sure it's not filtered. And so, like, who knows? You know, and who knows? It's crazy. I'm happy they're going to try. Major League Baseball is going to do tournament style as well. But it didn't work for basketball when they locked them all down in Florida at Disney. They got, they passed it around as well. So there is no perfect formula here.
No, there isn't. But well, you just have to hope that everything goes well, And I think the leagues themselves have certainly done everything in their power to prepare. I mean, what can you do other than bring in the proper health officials and help advise you to how to do these things? So
and hope people listen to you.
Well, then you get back to 18, 19, and 20-year-olds again. So there you go.
Yeah.
So speaking of health, I want to get onto this tip because, outside of the COVID issue is the short form tournament issue with not a lot of training prior. Obviously, the season, never did begin, unlike Major League Soccer, which did have the beginning of their season. And then they went on a break, or the NBA for that matter, or a lot of other sports. NWSL is coming in fresh with this, and because of the kind of wanting to, I don't want to say rush it, but get it going and get it in a timely manner in this season, they have decided to go with this 5. I think it's is it, Glenn, now with Orlando out, is every team playing a match?
Every team is in. So I mean, that to me that adjusts
to the knockout. Yeah.
So everybody's going. So to me that you're going to handle your preliminary round games, I think, a little differently. It's like you don't have to win. If you finish in 8th place, you play number 1, but maybe along the way you've figured things out and you've been a little bit more patient than maybe you normally would if you were thinking that you might be in that 9 hole. So I think it adjusts the thinking a little bit.
So Glenn, I have a question for you because we're talking about Orlando. Obviously, we're talking about a lack of sharpness. Is the heat going to play a lot of issues in regards to the humidity, the lack of fitness, dehydration, focus, especially for a goalkeeper? Saskia, I know you can attest for this. Playing in humidity, what it's like for 90 minutes when you're sitting back there in a puddle of your own sweat.
It never bothered me.
It never bothered you.
It never bothered me. I mean, first of all, I wasn't running around in that heat. And I think, it'd be one thing if we were in training and I was fit doing it. I don't think that for a goalkeeper it's going to be as much of an issue as it's going to be for field players. And I think that hopefully, and fingers crossed, we're not going to see a lot of injuries. And what I mean by that is like muscle tears, cramps, like lack of game fitness injuries. And that is a fear. It's a short tournament, but it's still something to be considered. And
how hot is it in I actually was just going up on Weather Channel, so it's right
in
now
LA right now?
No, in Sandy, Utah, or in that area where they're going to be playing. So it's right now it's 85 degrees.
Hotter than it is here.
And then a high of 95 today. So,
yeah.
It could, but they're going to be playing at times of the day. What is the schedule?
I mean, look, it's not as bad as MLS.
Well,
MLS is playing in Orlando. I mean,
that's brutal.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's going to be terrible. But 8 p.m. and 10:30, is that when all the games are? I've got the schedule.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, so
I mean, just manage it properly. Like, the bottom line is, and you got to be honest with yourself. Like, Harley Lloyd's not going to play in the tournament because she's got a muscle pull. Smart. Honestly, it's smart. And as I'm sure as pissed off as she is, like, at the end of the day, like, it's the bigger picture. You got a lot of games in a short period of time. I know Carly's, a hard worker and trains really hard at home on her own and everything like that, but there's always something to be said for training with your team and being game fit. And I think she's made the right decision not to play. So those are coaches' decisions, and players have to be smart.
Carly's actually she's got fluid on the knee, on her left knee. She told me it's like a patella irritation, but she hasn't been training since the end of April.
That sucks.
So
on the
it's
knees
been,
and that hurts to get taken out. I haven't had it, but I just saw it done to somebody, and I was glad I wasn't them.
Well, let's focus on some positives here. Like I said,
have we been negative?
I think. Look,
I don't know.
Did you notice that I said tournament too? Like I have my Jersey accent on.
I mean, look, I want to focus on some of the good stuff. I'm excited because it is a tournament style, and I know Americans love tournaments. So I think this is going to be really beneficial for NWSL. I think hopefully CBS is going to do a great job of broadcasting all these games and giving it the proper press coverage that they should get. Glenn, I want to ask you, in your opinion, are there any goalkeepers that you think benefit them from this short form tournament style more so than kind of a regular season?
I would just probably say the most experienced keeper, because it is a kind of a different thing. Haven't been with your team for a particularly long time, especially in full team training. So, who are the most experienced keepers? It's really, it's a slam dunk on Alyssa Nair's side, I think. You also have Barnhart, but I think a keeper like Nair, with a team that she's familiar with in front of her, might have an edge. I think experience all around is going to play a huge role here, because there's just not as many games. If you have a full season and you have a young goalkeeper, they could screw up, a couple of times early on, and maybe it even costs you a game, but along the way they're getting better. But there's no time for screwing up now. Or not much. Well, there's more now because you go to the playoffs no matter what. But
yeah,
I'm gonna agree, but I'm also gonna say there's that chance of like somebody getting hot, like somebody coming in. It's their chance. Look at Casey Murphy. She's Rutgers, yay, and Jersey. But I'm like, if she comes in, takes advantage of this opportunity, is hot, is ready to go, because it is a short tournament. She might be able to carry that through.
Yeah.
So you can look at it both ways.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because, one of the things that I was thinking, the experience thing, I think international experience, whether as a youth or a senior, hands down is extremely important in this type of scenario, because you're used to this type of, it's going to be a little bit different, obviously, with no fans. So it's, but it is still that short form tournament style. And Alyssa Nair, I think that's such a slam dunk right there. I think Barney, that's a slam dunk. Obviously with Alyssa Nair, there's not a lot of firepower, with Chicago in regards to some other teams. So but they do have a very solid defense. So, she could probably be very consistent. My concern is with Sky Blue is like, I was really excited about Sky Blue with both Carly and Mallory and obviously both of them being out, kind of leaves question marks. I think from what I've been hearing from a lot of people, a lot of the experts out there, such as yourself, Glenn, is that they are a much improved team from last season. And I think, based on the schedule, based on who they have to go up against, and we know Kailen Sheridan can handle shot after shot after shot after shot after shot like she did last season. But I think she could get hot. What are your thoughts on that, Glenn?
Yeah, no, she's very good. Gotten to see her in person. I'll have to admit, when I first started watching her play, I was a little skeptical. I didn't like her presence, but she grew on me because you mentioned distribution earlier in our chat here, and I think out of this group of keepers, when we get to our keeper war choices, I'll reveal one of mine, and it's certainly going to be Kailen Sheridan, because I think she may be the best all-around keeper in the group, and that includes Alyssa Nair. Nair, again, she's got that experience factor. Rarely, she seems to, her decision-making is fantastic, but so is Sheridan. Sheridan can stop a shot, and I don't know. What do you think, Saskia? I really like her distribution. If you're going to play that way, then
absolutely. And with them being like improved, I would say, and with the situation, it's going to come into play. Like, the keepers are going to be such a factor because there are going to be mistakes. The defenses aren't primed. Their timing's going to be off. They're going to be mistakes. So you're going to need a keeper that's got confidence. It's a good shot stopper, but at the same time, has good distribution, is confident, and can control the ball and also control the game. Know when you're under pressure to turn around and send a high ball. Know when to hold on to the ball. Know when to distribute fast. Like if you have that kind of a keeper in this situation, then you're in a good shape. But the keepers are going to be tested. They are. Period.
Yeah.
And
Because
you know,
you got to figure they're not going to be. It's going to be difficult to be particularly organized. I mean,
exactly. That's my point. Like you haven't been playing, like, and even when you've been training, this is the thing. What's going to be hard to see is how people trained on their own and how this little bit of time that they've had together, who's really actually ready. Because teams that you would have thought that were solid and everything like that, you don't know how they were individually on their own. It's a whole different beast. And you don't know if the people that you think typically are fit and ready to go and that you're watching are actually fit and ready to go. And that comes back to being in lockdown and knowing what they did by themselves. So it might, other teams might surprise you simply because their individuals like got it done.
Yeah. But then there's that game fitness factor, it's like, that's huge for the outfield players. I mean, right, Michael, just watching the Bundesliga when it first started and
oh
now
my
with
gosh.
EPL, I mean.
But you also saw the mistakes from the keeper, you saw the mistakes from the keepers when the Bundesliga first started too.
Absolutely. And you're going to see that here as well because again, it's not seeing situations, like not having that time even in practice to do small sided, to just go through things and see that repetition. They're going to make mistakes.
Glenn, what do you think about this here? And I mean, and I love Kailen, I love Casey Murphy as people, but the other goalkeeper that I rate really highly in that kind of that next generation of goalkeepers in NWSL is Jane Campbell. I think honestly Jane Campbell's the most athletic goalkeeper in the NWSL. I mean, and in a tournament like this where there could be a lot of frantic mistakes and plays, I mean, she's just so dynamic, so explosive. I mean, I could see her saving points for Houston, no problem. And Houston, maybe winning some games they had no business winning because of her.
Well, a friend of mine, I don't know if you've ever had Ian Joyce on. If you haven't, you need to get Ian Joyce on.
No, we'd love to though.
For another Jersey guy, so you got to get him on. I don't know if he's originally from Jersey, but he's been around long enough that he's. But he played for the Colorado Rapids years ago, and is a tremendous coach. But he's the U20 keeper coach for us. So he's been with Harvey, and then he was with Mark Carr before that. And but he's trained Jane Campbell, so he's talked with the last camp he did before the virus struck. He had Jane and Casey Murphy together, and he said it was just they're both unbelievable. But the one thing he said about Campbell, which I wasn't as clear on, is that she's very, very technical. So you're talking about her power, you're talking about her ability to make the brilliant save, but the first thing he said was how technical she was as a keeper, not just technically making the saves, but also with the feet. So, to hear that from Ian was impressive.
Well, I mean, one thing I did see a play, and my gosh, I mean, maybe should I pull a sharing a screen type situation?
Here we go. Your new favorite thing.
What are you doing?
All right.
Omar would be so proud of you.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen. I'm gonna share the screen right now.
He's gonna show a video.
I'm gonna show a video right here. Okay, so here is Jane Campbell. Okay, as we can see, she's in a good position right there. She's nice and deep, allowing for a good angle of play to play the ball back. Boom! Look at this. Escape. Look at that ball right there. See, and that is just that's field awareness, like you were just talking about there, right there, Glenn. I mean, just allowing to switch from that outside foot into that inside foot. Yeah. So I'll do it a little bit slower so you guys can see here. But look, so she's right there.
Yeah.
She receives the pass on her outside foot, right? She recognized the pressure coming in. She goes to the inside foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goes to the inside foot. Let me play it right.
No, I got it.
Oops.
No, it was because the defending player, her the angle of her closing down forced her.
Right.
So there's great recognition there, right there.
Absolutely.
So
yep.
So now you have a pocket. You have a pocket, and then you had a player smart enough to move into it.
See,
Yeah.
and for somebody who, like I said, is known for being dynamic and being explosive, a great athlete and stuff like that, like a lot of times you don't, and that's what I'm talking about, where the distribution is so important now at that next level, you know, and they're working on it left and right, left and right, left and right. And I think, you know, that is next level goalkeeping. And I think that's why she's in that pool. And that's why, I mean, no disrespect to AD, but like she's challenging her for a spot in that senior team right now.
Now, where's your Casey? Where's the Casey Murphy clip?
I think Casey's right. I think Casey's there as
Thank
well
you.
too. I think Casey's there right as well.
I recruited Casey to Rutgers, and then I left. But and she also played club ball with Michael O'Neill and Meg Ryan, who were my assistants at the time. So we, you know, and she's a Jersey girl, and
Yep.
fortunately she but she's broke all the records at Rutgers. But what the thing about Casey,
I still have
again,
one.
she's got game. She what?
I think I still have one.
Oh, you have one? Which one?
I don't know. I'm just
All
kidding.
right. Well, I know you have the.
Also,
I
Glenn,
think
we had Casey. We had Casey on for 2 hours. I got to give somebody else love, right?
All right. Yep. But I think Saskia she probably still holds the state record in high school for saves in a game or saves in a season, because she had nobody in front of her at Princeton High School. I mean, all due respect to anyone that's listening.
No, it's okay. They know. They're confident with it. They apologize to me. They're like, I'm like, but you guys made me who I am. It's okay.
Princeton would lose like 5-0, and Saskia will have made 25 saves. I mean, it was like, it was nuts.
It got me prepared. That's why I played. That's why I played lacrosse and was a center, so I could get some of those goals back.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of experience, nobody's got more experience in NWSL than Barney. I mean, you know, she's, you know, getting, and she probably won't love me saying this, but she's getting close. She's closer to 40 than to 30. Let's just say that, by a long shot. You know, I think she'll be 39 soon. The thing about her is that obviously is that she's such a hard worker. Even know, you know, in regards to the work that she does with Techne Football, producing videos, you know, to showcase to kids how important, you know, training on your own is, and, you know, just how clean she is with the ball. She's so technically sound with her feet and her hands. You know, I mean, Abby, I think, started out as the number 1 for Utah last season, and it was very apparent within a few weeks that Barney had to step back in there. And then I would say ultimately, I mean, you could say that she was the MVP for Utah last year in I wouldn't say a difficult season, but not a fantastic season. How much longer, Glenn, can she go?
Well, the goalkeeper, you know, goalkeepers don't have to run anywhere, man. They can play till they're 45. No, but if you sorry,
as long as the other body parts hold up, let's just put it that way, like your back and stuff like that.
But Saskia, so the first of all, the goalkeeper position, many players, and some of them are remarkable nowadays. When the Milan keeper, what's his name? At 20 years old, why am I forgetting his name?
Oh, Donnarumma, Gianluca Donnarumma. Yeah.
You know, he's an anomaly because keepers generally are not peaking until their late 20s or early 30s in many cases, because it's such an experienced position. You got Donnarumma here?
No. I got Barney. Look at these reactions from a 38-year-old. Watch this. Boom. Like, you know.
But maybe a 28-year-old would have caught it. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
No, it's just, but you have to remember with age comes understanding of the game, comes positioning, comes reading the game. And that's why you can keep playing, because you manipulate the game, you understand positioning, you understand where you're supposed to be to make it easier on you.
So look at that header right there. She's in position right there. And it's just a clean reaction touch over the bar. And she knows where to steer that ball. You know, and that's the thing that a lot of young keepers, even young pros, don't understand, is they get too excited about the moment, and then they make a mistake. But Barney, she's seen everything, and I think that's going to help Utah, you know, in a short form tournament.
Well, what you want in this, in my opinion, is like Glenn said, you want that experience because you want somebody, because your team hasn't been together, they haven't played together. You want somebody to take the reins back there, comfortable in organization, communication. You really are going to need that, because no, your team's going to be off, your defense isn't going to be in sync and everything. And so you need somebody back there that feels confident and knows what they're doing and understands the game and can kind of pull everybody in when things are going crazy. So you do need that.
You know what? How often do you guys train? So when you're training keepers, or when you've trained yourself, Saskia, one of the things that sometimes will, and I'll critique this, on a broadcast, because I find it kind of annoying almost, is a keeper will go down and make a proper save, except they'll spill the ball in the front of the goal rather than parry it out wide. And it seems like, I would imagine, and I know some coaches I've talked to about this, they train their keepers time and time again to palm the ball away or finger it away, whatever you want to describe it, instead of laying it out in front. So you go down and make this really, and I know there's a lot to it, and the pace of the shot and all these other things, but that seems to be a technique that lacks sometimes.
First of all, it's not a technique. It's a mistake. And number one, my goalkeepers are taught to hold on to the ball. And if not, it's the way your body reacts and goes through the ball that you're pushing the ball. And yes, you are taught to clear the ball, to parry the ball. If you can't get it, to parry the ball wide, clear danger and everything. It's up here. It's a technique. That's a technique. Knocking the ball down in front of you in the middle of the 18.
Yeah, no, I mean more the one you can't save and catch. It's something that you have to deal with.
And it's the angle of which you're diving. It's the power and everything, that if you can't catch that ball is going in a certain direction, and you are taught to do that. You are not taught to to just kill the ball or drop it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, Glenn, one thing I teach with my youth keepers is containment. If you can't actually cleanly hold on to the ball, is you contain it, whether it's either you're parrying the ball and steering it in a direction away from goal, or you're containing it into your body so that your next recovery movement is covering up the ball. So I think in a situation like ball's coming in with movement right here, it's a fingertip redirection into the pocket down. So then that way you contain that ball. Exactly. Controlled catch.
So you're just like, you knock it down, but that's with purpose. You're not just batting it back into.
Welcome back to the coaching manual. No.
What's the goalkeeper terminology for that? So if I'm calling a game, I say they palm the ball down. That's the way I've described it.
You could say like a controlled catch, like if you want, like. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of terms.
This is radio. I have to create a picture, so I have to create more of a picture.
So okay, so for you're on radio, and the shot is coming in, so it's like, and then so let's just say
Mike.
Sean John. Okay, shot. Okay, so Vela shot. Here we go. You're
doing the radio call.
Yeah. Vela with a stinger towards Johnson. Oh, he redirects it into his body and contains the ball to the ground.
All right.
Something like that? Does that work?
Is this recorded? Just send that to me.
This is recorded, yeah.
Yeah. Or you could just say he kills the ball in front of him, makes a controlled catch. Something like that. Like I think I'm using the wrong term. But yeah, I mean that is something that is taught. If the ball has too much movement, you know that you might have trouble holding on to it. You kill the ball in front of you, bounces right up and you catch it. Or and stuff. If not, anytime you parry the ball, anytime you're redirecting the ball, not holding on to it, you are taught that gets out of danger. That's, not over the end line. It's out for a throw in. It's out, just out of the 18, out of danger.
I want to bring this up right now. One is that Washington, a lot of people have been saying, hey, you know what? They had a pretty decent run last year. They, unlike a lot of teams, I think, is Washington missing one player? Or is everyone's pretty much attending? Obviously, their big guns are attending, and Aubrey Bledsoe is a very, very, very solid goalkeeper. As we know, NWSL Goalkeeper of the Year, W League Goalkeeper of the Year in Australia, the season before that. and just one of these goalkeepers that kind of consistently throughout the last few years has just been kind of just right outside that U.S. national team pool. Glenn, you've seen a lot of Aubrey, because of kind of the close proximity. What are your thoughts on her?
No, another good keeper. I look, I'm the list of keepers in this league is pretty impressive, and I think and I think it's a strength of the league, and the strength of the Washington Spirit is you got Rose Lavelle and Andy Sullivan,
Yep.
in the midfield, which is going to me, just their ability to control the rhythm of the game is going to take pressure off the back line and the goalkeeper, But no, I'm a Bledsoe fan, and I probably actually haven't seen her as much as some of the other keepers on this list. But
well,
when I
you're going to
have,
see her
good,
right
so
now in
I'll see her now.
Australia.
Here we go.
Here
Let's
we
check
go.
it out.
Okay, so this is what I want you to see, because I want you to see her near post composure, and again, like with Barney, a good awareness of where to play this next ball. Okay, so the ball comes in. Look at that right there. Boom. So again, we're talking about the distribution aspect with these goalkeepers. Now look at this play right here. So ball comes in. See, look at her position on the near post, and you see how it's just that little touch. It's just that little touch that, again, a lot of goalkeepers don't recognize. They make a meal out of this. Ball comes in. As it's coming in, see where the hand goes? Outside hand, right? So outside, the one inside towards the near post, and just the touch over like that. And follows it through with her body, which a lot of goalkeepers don't do. So let's just watch that at full speed again so you guys can kind of see. I'm sorry, I'm enjoying this.
Where's this field? What body of water is that back there?
So look at this right here. Touch. Boom. Just like that. See, and that's veteran, that's composure.
Yeah. It's a nice save.
Yeah. So I think, obviously I've had Aubrey on the show, great person, great goalkeeper. I feel like she's never really been given the credit she deserves on the international scene. But I think that she could be really solid for them right now. All right, we're starting to get a Glenn, you don't have training right away, right? So Saskia, how are you doing on time?
No, but I've got my gear on.
Oh, look at that.
I got a little bit of time. Not really. I have an appointment.
Okay. So should we? Okay. So we move on. Well, a couple things. Glenn, can anybody beat the Courage?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. The thing that again, tournament format and knockout round when you get to the group of 8, everybody going in, and the one thing I'll say is that teams, including Paul Riley's team, they may not, no matter what their experience, they may not be ready to play or prepared to play in the exact, style that he would like, or, and he's got that box midfield, which nobody in the league has figured out yet. But he's talked about tweaking that this year. And I wonder if, because there's so little time to prepare, maybe he just comes out with the same. So I think the fact that they controlled, is there a match they didn't control last year, like from start to finish almost? I mean, there were some good matches. Chicago gave them a great match at the end, but still, I think they're going to be difficult to beat because of, they've got everybody. Anybody, all their national team players are there. I mean, there was, that team is well managed, and,
but it almost feels like the New England Patriots. I mean, I'm sure Saskia loves hearing that. But in regards to the fact that, like, I didn't expect anyone to not play for the Courage. I expected that whole team to be there, and it seems like there is a Paul Riley way, and you either buy into the system or you don't buy into the system. Similar to how it used to be with Anson, in college.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to say. I think early on, yeah, I heard that there were a number of national team players that were on the side of not attending this event, but I think it was also before they got enough information about what it was going to be like, this bubble, the isolation, the protocols, and things like that. And but you're right. I mean, that would be the expectation, and that's culture. So again, I go back culture of the Orlando Pride, and did that have any impact on what happened there? And culture of North Carolina, I think you could almost guarantee those young ladies are doing everything the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think using Anson as an example is actually a good example. Just that culture was coming into that and having him as my national team coach. Yeah, you buy into it. Like, so.
But you buy into it because Paul Riley wins. So you want to win championships.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a part of it, but they're they.
It's also your team leaders. Like, and I'm not taking anything away from Ashlyn and stuff. And you can't control anybody. You're not around everybody all the time. You're adults, and you're expected, and you're being paid to play pro. You're expected to do a certain thing. Again, 17, 18, 19-year-olds and stuff. So it goes all around. It's a full thing. I still don't want to blame. Don't want to blame anybody other than stupid mistakes.
Well, Portland would be the team that you would, maybe consider. Mark Parsons does a good job of organizing. To me, it's like, what coaches
Sinclair's playing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she is. Sky Blue, I thought I was very curious to see how Sky Blue, and still am curious to see how it goes. But without Carly and Mallory Pugh, who I thought together up top would have been I could just see them working well together, because they've had some time together in the national team program too. So the fact that they're both not there is really making it difficult for them. But Portland doesn't have Tobin Heath, and that's a huge loss as well. So is the Spirit the dark horse? Maybe, could be.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting, and honestly, again, like I said, short form tournament, anything's possible. You could see a team get hot, kind of like Reign did last year, and made that run that they did. Shout out to Casey Murphy for that, because she was instrumental in that playoff run for sure. All right, speaking of that, let's get into
where's the Casey Murphy clip?
Okay, you want a Casey Murphy clip? All right.
Yeah.
Let's find a Casey Murphy clip.
Come on, man.
You okay with that?
I'm great. I love watching Casey play.
All right.
You have that game. Right. You have that game. She made like 8 saves.
It's so funny because like there's so much. I've seen those clips so many times. I was trying to find something else. So here we go.
Oh, okay.
This is from the Derby, Portland, Seattle.
All right.
Okay, well, hold on. Just shut that down. Position. Look at this save right there. That's improvisation, in my opinion. That's what I love about Casey.
Girl.
I love about Casey. Just keep it out of the net.
But it's
what
focused.
Do I need to do in this situation to get that ball away from space? And it's that awareness right here. Mm-hmm. Because if you just see that right there again, that ball comes in. Look how close.
That's eyes on the ball. Period.
Close range, and look at her face. Look at her nose and chin to the ball. Follows it.
Eyes on the ball.
Follows through. And the great thing about Casey is because she has that length, with those long arms, she's able to cover. Her range is ridiculous. I mean, there was one save she made last year on a lateral movement, outside hand over the bar that a lot of keepers would not have gotten, just because she's got that reach and she follows through. So we love Casey on this show. We never get old watching that. Speaking of that, let's get into our keeper wars.
All right.
Our Keeper Wars choices right here. If for you guys basically aren't familiar what we're going to be doing Keeper Wars during the NWSL tournament. Glenn, Saskia, myself, and Omar, we're going to be choosing 4 goalkeepers. We're going to give our reasons why we've chosen our 4 goalkeepers. Online, we're going to let you guys vote.
I had to switch because you said that they didn't have to be in the tournament.
Oh, they don't have to be in the tournament. They just have to be in NWSL.
Oh,
okay. So apparently you just foreshadowed.
Ashlyn Harris, I guess, is on your list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, Sask, why don't you start with your keeper wars choices?
Who we didn't talk about today at all was Franch. She's online, and we're talking about keeper wars. So I have to put her in there. I have Murphy, of course. I have Barnes and Harris.
Okay.
And here's why. Murphy. I go with Franch and Murphy, and because of that athleticism, and everything like that. Barnes experience, Harris for both. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where I'm at with my breakdown.
Yeah. And I think people want to understand is like when we're making our choices, we're making it based on the game of Keeper Wars. And if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know,
for me in Keeper Wars, look, the more experienced keeper knows how to play Keeper Wars. And, knows how to I loved Keeper Wars because you get that big throw and that look and that everything, the athletic keepers gunning the ball and this and that, the other, making the great saves and stuff like that. So we got a little bit of both.
Okay. All right.
That's
Glenn?
Well, I'm going with Sheridan, Campbell, Murphy, and Nair, and understanding Keeper Wars. Although again, I don't have too much experience in that department.
Yeah, but you've been around Keeper Wars. You've seen Keeper Wars.
I think I have a good blend of experience, guile, strength, confidence, and I looked at all the as many intangibles as possible here. And I didn't pick French. I think she's kind of a good fit for something like this. But I personally haven't been a big fan. I don't know her, so this has nothing personal.
No,
I just
but I'm
haven't been a big
Keeper
fan
Wars.
of hers.
We're not talking about. I'm talking Keeper Wars, not games. So.
All right. Well, how exactly is this manifesting itself?
I don't know. You gotta ask Michael. He made it up.
So basically, what's going to happen is we're going to put it up on social media, and we're going to let the fans.
Let the fans vote.
Let the fans vote on who would win in these things. So it's just going to be a best of 5 Keeper Wars between all our different. What
do I get? What do I get when I win that I can donate to charity?
You know what? I tell you what. Once we give you guys either an Inside the 18 scarf or maybe is that against NCAA?
Probably.
Okay. Okay.
We'll figure something out.
Because Glenn's coaching youth. That's right. So that does not.
I don't care about NCAA rules anymore. The NCAA.
I know. I do though.
I had issues with them when I was coaching, and I still have issues with them. And it's.
But if it's a donation to charity.
I don't know, and nobody's in the office to find out.
Let's do it. Why don't we do an Inside the 18 scarf signed by everybody here that we can donate to charity. Let's do that for the winner. How about that?
All right.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, I'm going to do my choices. My choices are just because I'm terrified of everybody at TKI. No, because I love everybody at TKI. Shout out to the Keeper Institute, Jill, Maria, Tori, and Kailen Sheridan. Kailen Sheridan is on my Keeper Wars team. Again, I think she's one of the top keepers in NWSL. I think in a Keeper Wars situation, somebody who can handle, 700 saves last year for Sky Blue is definitely going to be able to handle the shot-stopping element of Keeper Wars. Jane Campbell, because she can rifle a ball. I think I want her there so she can hit those types of bullets. Casey for those improvisation safe type saves. So Casey Murph is on my
Casey's
team.
on everybody's. I love it. That should say something.
I mean,
Casey's
honestly,
on everybody's.
Because Casey's awesome. Casey's awesome. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I've got Barney on that team because, again, one of the things that happens in Keeper Wars is younger keepers get excited. They overthrow the ball. They overhit the ball.
Thinking.
Their emotions get at it, and Barney's going to be cool, calm, and collective. She's going to hop right in there. Simple placement of the ball.
That's why I have her.
And it's going to be awesome. So personally, I think my team wins, but that's just me. People probably wondering why no Alyssa Nair on my team. Again, I think Keeper Wars. And with Keeper Wars, I think Barney over Alyssa Nair, and you come at me for that. So
yeah, come at me.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Should we do Golden Glove? Should we do Golden Glove before we get out of here? Do we have time, or should we start wrapping it up? It's up to you guys.
Well, I think we should wait.
Okay. All right.
Because we're gonna have 2 finalists, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to have 2 finalists. Okay. So we can wait and we can do that. By the way, for everybody out there who's listening, we're going to be doing a lot of NWSL Challenge Cup coverage in the next month. It's going to be really, really awesome. We're going to have people like Jordan Angeli on from The Athletic. We're going to have Jeff Kassouf from The Equalizer, but we had to get everything started with the legend himself, Glenn Crooks. that's how we had to get it going. But it's gonna be a fun tournament. I encourage anybody out there who's a young goalkeeper or a young goalkeeper coach who may not be as familiar with NWSL. Maybe it's gotten lost in the shuffle with all the other leagues that have been out there to watch. To watch. Short form tournament leaves for a lot of exciting and a lot of great coachable moments. Wouldn't you agree, Glenn?
I would. And how about all the mentions of when the leagues are going to start back up? The number of times in a lot of different publications and websites where NWSL doesn't even get a mention. I find that if I were Saskia and others who have played the game on the women's side or have been involved as a coach, like myself, I think it's rather annoying that it just doesn't get mentioned, even on an MSNBC, where they're very.
Well, and I saw, what was it, CNN? Was it CNN talking about the whole Djokovic debacle?
Yeah.
And then they brought up Orlando, and I was just like, and they brought up the tournament, and they brought up that Orlando, yes, I would love to see more coverage of the fact, this is coming back and how great that is, and how, a little more push there would be great.
Well, the first game's on the big network, huh? CBS network is carrying this game, huh?
Yeah. Yes, it's on the Big I, itself, and I believe that first game.
Thorns.
It's Courage Thorns, which could be the final.
Sure.
Well, based on obviously how the brackets go for the knockouts and everything like that, but those could be two of the finalists right there. So that's gonna be a great matchup there. You got LeBay and AD. So that's gonna be awesome. All right, well, we'll start wrapping up right here. Glenn, if anybody out there wants to know more about what you do with NYCFC, the Big Ten, Sirius XM, all your 17 podcasts that you've got going on.
Busy man.
By the way, shout out to On Frame, by the way, who's been doing quite a bit of NWSL preview stuff. I think you had Tannenwald and Kassouf on as well, and Julia from Orlando. So
yeah, you mentioned Jeff Kassouf, and Julia Poe from Orlando Sentinel, who's really close to the situation. She knows a lot of the players, so she's really been someone who you should follow as far as trying to keep track of what's happening down there. And then John Tannenwald from the Inquirer, Philadelphia Inquirer, who's covered the women's game. Well, look, I also have a website. I'm not a model like Saskia, but I do have a website, glenncrookssoccer.com. So there won't be any modeling pictures on my website.
There's no modeling pictures on there.
Hold on, Crooksy, there's 1,000 pictures. There's 1,000 pictures in your gallery. They're unreal. There's you
I
have
couldn't
some
decide
of
what to put up, so I put them all in there, Yes.
You have everything from Pele to Brandy Chastain. It's unreal, the pictures that you've got up there. So if you think, that we were exaggerating the legend of Glenn Crooks, just go on his website and you'll see what we're talking about.
But I appreciate, go subscribe to On Frame. It's a video cast that I do. So Saskia, I learned how to do this while I was in isolation and couldn't go out. And I said, wow, somebody said you can start a YouTube channel. I said, well, why not?
Yeah.
So there it is, and you got.
Yeah,
Zoom,
Mike knows that I'm not. I let him handle everything.
Well, the next. I've been learning editing. The next step. No one's even close to the level of Omar.
He's bringing me a microphone.
You could use a mic. Yeah, why don't you get a mic?
If he ever gets back to LA, he's bringing me a microphone.
Yeah,
I will be back to.
You know how long it took him to make me put earphones in? I even got my little extension cord on Amazon. He was very proud.
Can do I'm doing the AirPods now. I used to do the headphones, and then I figured out I'll just start doing the AirPods as long as I got the microphone going right here. And because of stand-up, I love holding the microphone like this as opposed to, actually putting it in a stand. So
just get back to LA. Get me my equipment.
And we need to get Omar off the soccer field. All these trainings that he's doing in the morning,
Or
unbelievable.
the park.
Yeah, at the park. But he will be back tomorrow, probably with better video breakdowns. Although I will say I was learning on Y Scout how to do the little circles, the telestrator circles and the arrows and all that. So maybe that'll be coming soon. I gave Saskia the Y Scout app. She'll figure it out at one point.
Well, with that reaction, no bet on it.
Oh my gosh, guys. Well, remember, contact at Inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms, at Saskia_Webber.
There are no modeling pictures. Go ahead.
on Instagram specifically. Crooksy, do you want to give out your social media handle, or just everybody go to the website?
Who, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is at Glenn Crooks. So it's easy. It's two N's. Two N's, not one, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And man, I mean, best of luck, honestly. What's going to happen with NYCFC? Do you get to go to Orlando, or are you staying in town?
I have no desire to go to Orlando, nor will I be permitted to go to Orlando. And I'll be where I am right now. This is where I'll probably be doing the radio broadcasts of the game, from my house, using a thing called the Mixler Stream, and perhaps something called Cloudcast. We're working on all these things as we speak.
Oh,
so we'll see.
That sounds fun. So when you're hearing that professional radio quality, you'll know that it's coming right inside from that little room right there with the fan, with the box fan.
And remember, so I have Saskia's autograph right here.
From
now,
my worst fitness day of my life. Yes,
worst fitness. And then, but whose autograph is worth more? Let's ask the audience. Saskia's, or this is, where is it? Oh, Christine Lilly. What are you going?
You're killing me.
Oh, yo, that's trolling to the next level trolling.
I'll tell you, it's Christine's.
I'll give you.
Who else do you have on there? Michelle Akers? I mean,
yeah. Well, Akers already wants to come on the podcast to tell us how much better forwards are than goalkeepers. So.
I think we should have it. Honestly, we should have Akers on and maybe break down from a forward standpoint.
Shooting, I used to be the guinea pig when she used to be. Long story.
If she's down,
practicing constantly.
If she's down,
how about? I'll give you yours is going to be worth more than Jen Lawler. Okay.
They're all worth the same.
Oh.
I have to be PC.
Oh.
Right? It's my.
Hey, hold on 1 second.
Oh God.
Oh okay. Oh my God.
I can't believe he remembers how many saves I used to make at Princeton High School.
So the men's U.S. men have also trained at Rutgers at the bubble, and so here's Alexi Lawless. He wrote this to Doug Kokoski, who's the operations director. So here's the ball, but it's a Rutgers ball actually.
It's a Rutgers ball.
You know?
I remember that.
But there's one other, and the other autograph here is Kobe Jones.
And Kobe.
Kobe Jones. Wow.
And then I got a Carly ball autographed up there. All
right, bye, Glenn.
And then I've got Saskia Webber.
I still have a bunch of clips of other goalkeepers in NWSL. If we want to watch more clips of goalkeepers in NWSL.
Saskia, I found this like 5 minutes before I clicked on.
Think about Rutgers could have its own little. They could just do a Rutgers thing. Lexi, me, Carly. I mean, we had some great players there.
Yeah, you guys could have a little small-sided game and just destroy people.
Absolutely.
Well, there's two other.
Hop in one of those celebrity tournaments.
There's two other Rutgers players that are on Sky Blue. Three. Erica Skrosky plays at the back. So I coached Erica, and Cassidy Benedenti was added to the roster recently. And I don't want to forget anyone. I know I am. Skrosky. And Madison Tiernan. Sorry, Madison.
I will tell you, back when I was on the national team, like, first of all, the entire national team was like either from UNC or something else, Stanford.
Right.
And like me, I was that little Rutgers kid. They're like, where, who, what? And I was like, now everybody knows. So
everybody knows.
That's right.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's all the time on Inside the 18. We are out later.
Bye.